On this Friday night, Team Canada has a ball kicking out the competition in soccer. Our newest gold medal at the Olympics. The hopes the sport will score a boost.
No property is worth risking lives.
Fast-moving infernos decimating BC, with residents resistant to leave. And in California,
we have firefighters that are getting guns pulled out on them.
Battle at the border.
We surpassed the point of ridiculous a long time ago.
The demands of thousands of CBSA workers now on job action. And the evolving fight against COVID. Different provinces mean different strategies.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Farah Nasser.
Julia Grasso's family erupted when she scored the match winner in a sudden death shootout, giving Canada its first gold in women's Olympic soccer. Grasso made no mistake with a kick that bounced right off the hand of Sweden's goalkeeper. A dramatic and unforgettable win after back-to-back bronze medals. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. It was a nail-biting fight to the finish with clutch performances from several key players. Veteran goalkeeper Stephanie Labbé stopped 4 shots, and Jessie Fleming scored Canada's only goal in regulation time to tie things up. As Crystal Goomansingh reports, it was a thrilling victory that kept this country on edge until the very end.
This was the moment the energy shifted in Yokohama Stadium. A foul wasn't called on the field, but Captain Christine Sinclair protested, sending the referee to consult the video. For a moment, Canadians from coast to coast to coast held their breath. It was a penalty. Jessie Fleming of London, Ontario, lined up. With the determination of the team loaded in her right foot, she nailed it. Fleming's goal sent the match into extra time and then penalty kicks. After 5 shots each, still no decision. It all came down to 20-year-old Julia Grosso. And she delivered. A dreamlike moment for her family glued to the TV back in British Columbia.
I was a little nerve-wracking, but it went in. Doesn't matter, it went in. Whoa! Yeah!
It's a victory the women have been waiting years to savor. The Canadian squad has the world's all-time leading scorer, Sinclair, with 187 international goals. They've won back-to-back Olympic bronze medals, but knew they could achieve more.
She texted us right after. I mean, obviously, she's just in shock as well and excited. I think more for the fact that, for Sinclair as well, right, to be able to have the gold medal, she certainly deserves it.
It's a historic victory. This is the first time the Canadian women's soccer team has won Olympic gold. Of the 22 players, 3, including Jay Riviere, played in Pickering, Ontario when they were younger.
So just tremendously proud of Jade, and I know the journey and the work that she's put in to get where she's at. Yeah, honestly, very emotional, and I'm not going to lie, I had a tear in my eye at the end of it.
Pride and emotion for the women's team finally conquering their quest for gold. Crystal Goomansingh, Global News, London.
Now, it is widely expected this will be the last games for legendary captain Christine Sinclair. The 38-year-old has competed in 4 Olympics over her 21-year career, winning 3 Olympic medals. And with 187 goals, she is the world's all-time leader for international goals scored. Today was her 304th game for Canada and the biggest victory of her career. 2-time U.S. Olympic gold medalist Abby Wambach was one of the people that Sinclair said had a real impact on her career and pushed her to levels she didn't think possible. Well, today, Wambach sent this emotional message.
Sinky, nobody deserves it more than you, sister. Awesome. Congratulations to all of Canada, all of the players, also all the players who built the program, the Charmaine Hoopers, the Tancredis, the Sophie Schmidt. You guys are all a part of this win. I feel super emotional for you. Good job.
It was a big day for Canada on the podium. Track star Andre de Grasse made history as Canada's most decorated male Olympian with a bronze in the 4x100 meter relay. The 26-year-old now has 6 medals, half of them from Tokyo. Mo Ahmed won this country's first long-distance silver medal with a second-place finish in the men's 5,000-meter race. And Evan Dunphy was given a bronze medal for his finish in the men's 50-kilometer race walk, a bittersweet victory marking the end of the event at the Olympics moving forward. And here's a look at the medal standings. China leads the pack with 36 gold medals. Canada is in 12th with 6. We have 22 total. To British Columbia now, where a wildfire exploded, destroying homes and businesses. The massive White Rock Lake fire burning between Vernon and Kamloops jumped a busy highway and ripped through the community of Monty Lake. Jules Knox is at a roadblock near the fire. Jules, how bad is it?
It's very bad here. Officials are calling it horrifying and heartbreaking. Thousands of people have been forced to flee their homes. In fact, late this morning, another 600 property owners in the Okanagan were told to go home to get their belongings and that they had until 1 o'clock this afternoon to get out. Fast-moving flames jumped the highway yesterday evening, and regional district officials are still waiting for confirmation on the severity of the damage, but are fearful that much of the community of Monty Lake has been devastated, including the general store. Crews continue to battle gusting winds today as people from many nearby communities remain out of their homes.
I honestly don't have any great hope that it's going to be there when we get home. It's not good.
It's really devastating. Yeah, I think the hardest right now is just the wait.
It's stressful. I can't say it enough. It's on the back of your mind all day long and all night.
Jules, we're also hearing that not everyone's obeying the orders to leave. What can you tell us about that?
That's right. We're hearing that firefighters were pulled from the front lines to help assist in tactical evacuations. Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth says this fire presents a very real and grave danger, that escape routes can be cut off very quickly, and that officials are very disappointed that some people chose to stay behind and that it could have cost lives.
A small group of people found themselves being overrun by the rapid advance of this fire. While our crews were able to get the residents to safety, these brave firefighters very nearly paid with their lives. This experience was traumatic for all involved and should never have happened.
Farnworth says it is still too early for any damage assessments, but it is expected to be extensive. And there are no reports of any people missing at this point, but again, that could change. Farah?
Jules Knox near Vernon, BC. Thank you, Jules. A wildfire emergency is also playing out in the western United States as the Dixie Fire in Northern California is now the largest in the country. It's ripped through an area larger than Los Angeles. The wildfire is burning as a broader climate crisis plays out, and that includes a record-setting drought with conditions so severe that some towns are having to truck in water. Jackson Proskow reports.
Greenville was wiped out by one of the largest fires in California history. This mountain town that dates back to the gold rush is gone.
There were a couple of towers of flame twice as tall as the trees, just huge towers of flame.
At times, the so-called Dixie Fire was so intense that firefighters were forced to retreat for their own safety.
I've been fighting fire for almost 25 years, and this is the most extreme fire behavior that I've ever been a part of.
Other nearby towns have been evacuated, some already reduced to ashes. Residents can only wait and worry, unsure if there will be anything to return to.
And we finally get allowed back in there, and look, it's either standing or it's a pile of ash. That's when it'll hit us.
Firefighters are dealing with tinder-dry conditions, unpredictable winds, and frustrated homeowners wary of leaving everything behind.
We have firefighters that are getting guns pulled out on them because people don't want to evacuate.
There are worrying signs it could get much worse. 65% of the western U.S. is experiencing extreme or exceptional drought. In the tourist town of Mendocino, water has become so scarce, restaurants are using portable toilets to keep customers from flushing away limited supplies. Hotels are trucking in water just so guests can shower.
Right now it costs $600 for 3,500 gallons. That's lasting us a week.
Fire conditions are now so dangerous that residents are being told there will be no time to second-guess evacuation orders.
Wherever the wind blows this fire is where it's going to go.
In this unpredictable fire season, the only certainty is of more dangerous days ahead. Jackson Proskow, Global News, Washington.
We have breaking news tonight. Global News has learned no charges will be laid against the acting chief of the Defense Staff, Admiral Art McDonald, over allegations of sexual misconduct. Our Mercedes Stevenson is following the developing details. Mercedes, what can you tell us?
Well, Farah, the chief of the Defense Staff, Admiral Art McDonald, who stepped aside in February amid allegations of sexual misconduct and an investigation into an alleged sexual assault, is not going to be charged under the Criminal Code of Canada or under the National Defence Act. Global News learned this earlier today from the woman who came forward and told her story, making these allegations to Global News back in the early spring and late winter. She says that she feels like she has been punched in the gut by this decision, that she's unfortunately not surprised, but that she believes this is why victims of sexual misconduct do not come forward in the Canadian Armed Forces. In a statement, the Canadian Forces National Investigation Service, the specialized military police who look into this, say that they looked at the evidence and there wasn't enough to lay charges. Now, Heather McDonald, the Navy lieutenant who came forward in this case, told us that there was about 40 witnesses to what happened. It took place 10 years ago and there was a lot of alcohol involved. And she's deeply disappointed that it seems that interviewing all these witnesses, the police came to the conclusion that they were not going to charge. We have asked Admiral Art McDonald to respond. At this point, we have not heard from him this evening. He had previously declined to comment because the case was under investigation. The big question now, Farah, is what this means for other women in the forces and also whether Admiral McDonald will return as the chief of the defense staff as we are about to head into a federal election.
Mercedes Stevenson in Ottawa. Thank you, Mercedes. 9,000 border services workers take job action. Coming up, what they're calling for and how the negotiations are going. Beginning Monday, fully vaccinated U.S. travelers will be allowed to drive across the border into Canada for pleasure trips. And this is the first time that's happened since March of 2020. But there are fears of long delays at crossings, and that was already the case today. Canada Border Services Agency employees are staging a work-to-rule campaign. They haven't had a contract in 3 years. Global's Sean O'Shea has an update tonight on the status of negotiations.
With airports busier as Canadians travel more again, lineups stand to get longer still as Canada's border agents push for a new contract.
We surpassed the point of ridiculous a long time ago. We're over 3 years out.
Members of the Customs and Immigration Union vowed to slow down commercial and personal travel at land, air, and marine border crossings.
We could expect to see some delays in terms of some of the pronouncements that they have made. And what we've planned for that is making sure that we have as much staff on hand.
Land crossings like the bridge between Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, are key to trade between the U.S. and Canada. Some truck drivers said entering Canada was slower Friday morning.
We are looking at disruptions in almost all your stores. But more than the stores, I'm worried about disruptions of the vaccines.
And as of Monday, fully vaccinated U.S. travelers will be able to drive across the border for pleasure trips for the first time in 17 months. Border points are expected to be even busier. For Canadians traveling now, the prospect of a slowdown coming home isn't pleasant.
It's going to be tough to spend like 4 or 5 hours to get into your country.
The union says border agents are underpaid compared to other law enforcement officers, and they want better protection against what they call a toxic workplace culture.
CBSA is heavy-handed with discipline, discrimination, harassment. That absolutely has to be addressed.
The union scheduled then canceled press conferences this afternoon. Spokesperson for the Treasury Board of Canada told Global News mediation continued all through the night, that the government was at the bargaining table and that it would not walk away. So it appears right now that those negotiations are continuing. Farah.
Okay, Sean O'Shea at Toronto Pearson Airport. Thank you, Sean. United Airlines is going to require all U.S.-based employees to be vaccinated against COVID-19. It is the first major American airline to implement such a mandate. United Airlines joins a growing number of U.S. companies telling its employees they must be fully vaccinated by late October. Any employee who refuses to show proof of vaccination risks being fired. The U.S. is struggling with a surge in infections. The 7-day average of new reported cases has jumped to more than 90,000 a day. That's up from around 12,000 a month ago. CNN has fired 3 employees for going into the office without being vaccinated against COVID-19. The U.S. media giant says vaccination is mandatory for anyone reporting in the field, working with other employees, or going into an office. And it has a zero-tolerance policy on the issue. It is one of the first examples of a U.S. firm firing staff for breaching a company vaccination mandate. Still ahead, the patchwork of plans across Canada to combat a 4th pandemic wave. The number of COVID-19 cases across Canada has jumped 54% since last week. Today, BC's top doctor reintroduced health restrictions in the central Okanagan due to a spike in infections. Outdoor gatherings are limited again to 50 people, and the number for indoor gatherings have also been reduced. Nightclubs and bars will be closed unless they serve food, and people planning to visit the area are being asked to change their plans. When it comes to pandemic policies and reopening plans, each province has its own strategy. Abigail Beeman takes a look at what could be in store for the fall.
In the next few days, 2 more provinces will drop mask mandates, Manitoba and Newfoundland and Labrador, though individual businesses may choose otherwise.
No shirt, no shoes, no service. I'm sure there will be some businesses who adapt that for masks.
And in that new space of individual agency, some already face backlash. Quebec is moving ahead with a vaccine passport, but the bureaucracy was not fast enough for this gym owner.
Tired of being put in this Ferris wheel of you're open, you're closed.
He's only allowing fully vaccinated gym clients, and he wasn't expecting the online hatred that followed.
Some are even threatening, hoping that this place gets burnt to the ground, as it's that bad. It breaks my heart.
Proof of vaccination or passports are controversial.
As much as a libertarian as you might be, the right to swing your fist ends at somebody else's nose.
More provinces are considering them.
We're looking at all options.
In my mind, this is about getting us back to a safe and normal society.
Many experts believe passports represent the way forward, plus point to some evidence they help boost vaccination rates.
The hope is that if we can continue to also increase the number of people who are getting vaccinated on a daily basis, we should be able to avoid the broad universal lockdowns.
While nationally cases are going up, mostly among the unvaccinated.
Fortunately, severe illness trends are still declining.
So if our goal was to not overload hospitals, is focusing heavily on case counts as important in this new phase of the pandemic?
Those are lagging indicators, the hospitalizations and deaths. The leading indicators will be our positivity rates and our cases. So we always have to be kind of vigilant in watching that.
Much attention is now focused on watching our vaccination rates, and that second shot uptake is slowing. More than 30% of the population older than 12 still doesn't have 2 shots, with many bracing for more outbreaks in unvaccinated populations this fall. Abigail Beeman, Global News, Ottawa.
Golden goals. Next, the future of women's soccer through the eyes of a trailblazing Canadian. Returning now to our top story, Canada's historic gold medal win in women's soccer. Carrie Serwetnyk is a former member of the women's national team, and she is the first woman inducted into Canada's Soccer Hall of Fame, and she now runs and coaches her own soccer program for kids in Vancouver. It is a pleasure to speak with you, Carrie, especially today. You've spent your career teaching girls and women in soccer to dream big, and we know Canada was cheering today, but I'm curious, what was the moment like for you?
It's such a proud moment for Canada right now. It's unbelievable. And what really strikes me the most is their ability to manifest, because they came in with the goal to win a gold. And I've never heard that language from the Canadian women's soccer team before.
What made the difference this time?
I'm really proud of Bev Prieston to come in first, to come in, new team. She's been the assistant in the past, but, to come in and people would have been judging her, in the performance. And surely she's been the one who's created this idea, right? That we're going to win gold. We're changing the color of the medal, right? And poof, it happened.
You were the first woman inducted into Canada's Soccer Hall of Fame. You inspired countless women of Christine Sinclair's generation. 20-year-old Julia Grosso, who scored the winning penalty for Canada. She watched Sinclair growing up and won gold with her today. I mean, you began this long journey to gold. What does it feel like for you?
It felt emotional, like, wow, this is like incredible to see something that started, during our time and has evolved to this moment, right? Because you have to imagine that we all had those same dreams too. And when I was a young kid, it's like soccer wasn't in the Olympics and there wasn't a World Cup. And so for me, it was like, whew, yeah. Why don't we have this? Why can't girls play at a high level, right? And so we've had to prove our entire lives that we're good enough to play. And so every time there's, a Olympics or World Cup, it sends a message to somebody that they are, one, capable, but they also have the right to go and go after these dreams.
So what's next for Canadian women's soccer?
Now they have something to stand on. I'm sure there's thousands of girls around the country right now begging their moms to play or dads to play soccer. I'm sure there's someone sitting there, wanting to win the next gold medal for Canada. This gives permission for more girls to go out and play and know that it's okay for them to do that.
Carrie Serwetnyk, just a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you. And that is Global National for this Friday. I'm Farah Nasser. Thank you for spending part of your evening with us. We leave you tonight with a look at the medal ceremony for Canada's women's soccer team. Years of hard work and determination leading to Olympic gold. Congratulations. Jeff Semple will be with you on the Anchor Desk tomorrow. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.